First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokah, Kwadash. Yahweh is the name of who this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is the name of who this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Bahashem means in the name. Rokah means spirit. Kwadash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of great millstone that taught me this truth. I wanted to go into this prophecy or the scripture going into the son of perdition, which goes into Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and pretty much going into how, hey, we're at the last days, right? Just how it goes into in the last days. Let's just read it, man. This is Second Thessalonians, chapter 2 and verse 3, and it says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, which are the Edomites." Okay, the so-called white people, but in reality, they're red. It says, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." Okay, and this exactly describes these people, right? Very proud, thinking themselves to know more than Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and we're gonna get some scriptures to tie into this. But the point I wanted to make is that you can prove the Edomites are the so-called white people by two scriptures, man. If you really understand what it's saying, and let's bring that out. This is Second Ezra chapter 6 and verse 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Okay? So just with the scripture, and you can cut and you can identify who are the Edomites. Because let's break it down. This is talking about rulerships, right? Esau is the end of the world, right? Before Jacob starts ruling. So because Jacob, the rulership of Jacob is talking about the kingdom of heaven when the Israelites are ruling forever. And Esau's rulership is talking about the rulership before that. Okay, and that's all we need to know. All we need to know is who is ruling, or who should be ruling before the Israelites start ruling, right? Before the kingdom of heaven. And to get that point, all we have to do is go to Daniel, the second and seventh chapter. It goes into it, going into the four kingdoms that were gonna reign the earth before the kingdom of heaven. Okay? And the first kingdom was the Assyrian with the Babylonians. Then it was the Medo-Persian. Then it was the Greeks. And then the Romans. Okay? So just by Bible prophecy, right? This is Jacob right here, right? Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. It's referring to the divine kingdom, right? The Israelites ruling. But Rome, hey, Esau is the end of the world. So previous to Jacob ruling, Esau is going to be ruling. And what does it say right here? Rome, the Romans, man. Okay, so just by two scriptures, you can identify who are the Edomites. And ultimately, the Edomites are the wicked. And we're going to bring that out too, because it says in Job chapter 9 and verse 24, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" Okay? So the earth is going to be ran by the wicked till Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, or Yahweh Shai, comes back to establish order. Okay? Before the kingdom of heaven is established, it's supposed to be ran by the wicked. And then it goes on to say, "He covereth the faces of the judges thereof." And that's talking about the Renaissance, right? When they committed iconoclasm, right? Pretty much painting and changing the pictures that were there. Okay, making all the pictures of the Messiah and Mary to white. Okay, making everything white. But that's a different lesson. But as I was going in, two scriptures, man, and it gives you the identity of who is Esau today. But the Spirit ultimately has to be dealing with you for you to be able to see this. So, point is established. The Edomites are going to be ruling before the kingdom of heaven is established when Jacob is ruling the Israelites. And as it says, Rome. But one thing we have to understand is that the pagan Roman Empire, or the Roman Empire, it already fell, right? And that it ties into, let's get it right here, because we need more context to understand where this comes from, right? That beast, because ultimately that beast came back. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 11. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth." And when you look at the word beast, it's talking about governments. Like when we look at Daniel the 7th chapter, it brings it out, right? Daniel chapter 7 verse 3. "And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another." And it goes into breaking it down, right? How he was interpreting it. But those great beasts is talking about the rulerships, right? The kingdoms. But back to the point, it says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." And that's talking about the Republicans and the Democrats, which ultimately go back to the same beast. And he spake as a dragon goes into his draconian laws. It says, "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him," right? "And he causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." And that first beast is talking about the Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire, it ultimately fell. When did Roman Empire fall? Right? It fell, but it didn't fall completely. Right? It was sacked or fell 476 AD when the Western Roman Empire came to an end. Right? That's what it's talking about here. Okay? That beast, right? First beast, who had that deadly wound, but eventually it was healed and it came back by the way of America, NATO, and EU. Okay? When we look at Daniel the 2nd chapter, that's what it goes into. Okay? Right now we're in the toes of that beast. Right? The toes. The iron mixed with miry clay. At the last stretch of the Roman Empire, where, according to 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, Esau is going to be ruling. Right? But that was the point on that. Let's go into, or even let's bring this out here in Google, because even Google tells you who are the Edomites today. It says, "There is a Jewish tradition stemming from the Talmud that the descendants of Esau would eventually become the Romans, and to a larger extent all Europeans." Okay? So it tells you right there, they would eventually become the Romans and the Greeks and all Europeans. And that ties, hey, that's the truth. And it ties directly into what we're reading. Directly into what 2nd Ezra 6 and 9 said. Okay, so, hey, just with two scriptures, you can prove who the Edomites are today. Okay, who's ruling the world? The so-called white man. Right? Ultimately, the reborn Roman Empire. But let's get this in. And ultimately, it goes back how I brought out the scripture, right? The son of perdition, and he's being revealed, right? The son of perdition, as it says, that man of sin is being revealed, okay? And it goes on to say, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." Okay, so remember that. He pretty much likes to portray himself as God. Let's see where else it says that. Okay? Because the scriptures, they all tie together. I think it's in Isaiah chapter 14. Yep. This is Isaiah chapter 14. And I'll start at verse 14. And this is talking about the same man, the son of perdition, right? The wicked. It says, I'll start at verse 13. It says, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the height of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." Okay? So as you can see, It's the same thing it was talking about here. So these two scriptures here in Isaiah 14, this chapter, is talking about the son of perdition, which are ultimately the Edomites. And it gives that the Edomites more titles appear. Right? On the third and the fourth verse, it calls them, let's read it, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Okay? That's one of their titles. And say, how hath the oppressor seized, the golden city seized. The Lord Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked. That's another of their title, another one of their titles, the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. Okay? So clearly, right, Edomites, king of Babylon, staff of the wicked, right, son of perdition, man of sin, right, the wicked. It's all talking about the same group of people. And the beautiful thing about Isaiah 14 is it ties directly into Obadiah chapter 1 to confirm that even more, man. Right? Obadiah chapter 1 is talking about Edom. Esau, Edom. Okay? And let's get the ties, right? Because it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. And it says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high. Okay? And that's ultimately talking about the skyscrapers. It says that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Okay? So these people, the Edomites, they have their habitation high, and they're saying, who shall bring me down to the ground? Let's see what else it says. Thou, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, right? Who has the symbol of the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh. So remember what it just said, right? Habitation high, who shall bring me to the ground? Now let's go to Isaiah 14 and see where that lines up. Okay? This is Isaiah chapter 14, and we'll start at verse 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Right? It's talking about the same person. And Lucifer, ultimately, that goes into light bearer. Right? And the people that have the light today are the Edomites. Right? Because they have, as it goes into the Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Okay? Describing the king of Babylon. Right? Light bearer. Okay? And light bearer, it doesn't have to be in righteousness. Right? You can have light by the way of wickedness. It's just who has the light, right? The way. That's what it's talking about. But the correlation I wanted to bring out is it says, how art thou cut down to the ground? And it goes right here. It says, who shall bring me down to the ground? Right? It's talking about the same man. And it says, whose habitation is high. Right? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars. What does it say here? How art thou fallen from heaven? Right? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Right? It's talking about the same thing. Right? Set thy nest among the stars. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Right? It's talking about the same thing, man. The Edomites, the wicked. And if you really keep on looking throughout the entire chapter, right, it's talking about, you can see the correlation, man. Another correlation I want to bring out, just to prove the point even more. It says right here in Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10, or I'll start at 9. It says, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mounts of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Right, every single Edomite is going to be completely destroyed after those 1,000 years of slavery in the kingdom of heaven. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Now let's see what it says in Isaiah 14. Right? This is Isaiah chapter 14. I'll start at 18. It says, all the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. This is talking about when those 1,000 years finish, that the nations are going to be able to set up their own thing, but they're still going to have to follow the law, statutes, and commandments and pay tributary to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But Esau, Edom, as we read, he's going to be completely destroyed. Let's see what it says about them here. It says, "But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch." Right? They're going to be cast out. That branch is going to be completely done away with. It says, "And as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with the sword, that go down to the stones of the pits, as the carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned." Okay? So that branch, right, these people, the seed of evildoers, they're going to be completely done away with. Same thing is said in Obadiah chapter 1. Okay? So it's ultimately talking about the same person, Edom, the Edomites, which are ruling today. Okay? So through the Spirit, it all ties together, right, beautifully. Let's see what else I have here. What else can I pull up here? Yeah, that was the point there. Let's see, Isaiah 14. That was the point there. Let's get this in Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4. It says, "Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places." And this is talking about the Renaissance era, right, when they came back. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh hath indignation forever." Okay, so another scripture calling the Edomites the wicked, right, the border of wickedness. And ultimately, as we were going into in Job chapter 9 and verse 24, right, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. So it all makes sense when you get the precepts, man, and you really tie it together. And ultimately, as it goes into, the son of perdition, the man of sin, is being revealed, just as it says. Okay? And you see the correlation, right? Exalting himself as the Most High, right? Where did it say that? It said that in Isaiah 14, right? "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." And hey, it's clear now, because ultimately, as it says in Isaiah chapter 25 and verse 7, it says, "And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations." And the and the mountain represents government, right? The governments. And as it says, "He will destroy in this government the face of the covering cast over all people," which goes into the lies, right? The deceptions that they have put upon us, right? Making us think that we are Latinos, right? The so-called Latinos, so-called blacks, okay? So-called Native Americans. All these proverbs and bywords, when in reality, we are the chosen, man, the Israelites. It says, "And the veil that is spread over all nations." Yeah, because all these nations are realizing that, hey, they're getting fucked over, right? The Edomites, America, Babylon the Great, this nation is fucking everyone over. Okay? Everyone is seeing the truth now, slowly but surely. And eventually, all these nations are going to turn on the horror, on Babylon the Great, on America, and completely destroy it by the way of fire. And that's all Bible prophecy. But I think that was all I had. Okay? And most importantly, I just wanted to bring out 2nd Ezra 6 and 9 and Daniel the 2nd to 7th chapter. Right? Because as I said, you can clearly show who the Edomites are by just these two scriptures. Right? Daniel chapter 2 and 7 and 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and 9. It's that simple. And even Google tells you by now, man. Even Google tells you. But hopefully this was edifying and you learned something for this, right? But with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rokak Wadash, and Shalom to you, Shalom.